Real quick, friends, I have Drop a Draco socks. They are available for about 8 more days. If you want to pick them up, the link is down below. Yo, what's up, guys? You got PokeaimMD here with some more SPL Tie Breakers right now. This time we have the Dragon Spiral Tyrants, I believe that's their name. That's Blunder's team versus the Team Raiders. I believe Kevin, BKC, my favorite player of all time to watch, is on the Raiders, whereas this is Z0MOG, and he is on the Tyrants. So we have an Ultra Sun and Moon OU game, and just looking at team preview, this Kyurem is going to destroy Kevin, man. It's more than likely Sub-Zero Slammer. The fact that he has Kyurem plus Madden Zone also pressures Celestial a lot. The Z move from Kyurem knocks out Clefable, so that's pretty big, and he just gets to click Ice Beam. His water resist is Greninja, and though I don't think Z0MOG will actually pull the trigger on a Greninja switching, because I think using his Z move for something like Celesteela or even Clefable is a little bit smarter. It's definitely a problem. As far as the way Kevin does threaten him, because Z0MOG is running Chansey offense, it's going to be a little bit hard to pressure him with Greninja. Otherwise, Greninja, I would have said Greninja would have done a lot of work. But Madden Zone doesn't really do too, like, it does trap Celesteela. It has to get like on a double, and even then, if it's Spadef Celesteela, but it's more than likely Fizzed-Up. If it's Spadef Celesteela, it can take on Madden Zone, especially because it's more than likely Choice Scarf on the team. Actually, I'm not entirely sure because the Zmon, I'm pretty sure is Kyurem. Preview Kartana can be Z as well, or even Bandit / Scarf, and Lando can even be Scarf on this type of team too, because Chansey is one of the best rock setters out there. But Specs Madden Zone is definitely like it could happen. It could definitely happen. But let's just get into it. So we see a Landorus lead versus a Kyurem lead, and we do see Intimidate come out before the Kyurem. So because he knows he's faster, just gonna U-turn out of there into Greninja, his Ice Resist, as the Kyurem does throw off an Ice Beam. And what Kevin actually ends up doing is doubling out into his Clefable. I guess expecting the Chansey to want to come out, because this does give him the opportunity to get up rocks. Rocks are really key. Ben and Zygarde is definitely a threat though, like switching in. I do know what set his Zygarde is, but just off face value, Ben and Zygarde is a threat, especially with rocks up. And any chip damage on Chansey is cool too, because that might look like nothing because it's only 10%, but that 10% plus Stealth Rock means that Adamant Choice Band Zygarde does 2 KO Chansey with 1,000 arrows upon switching, and rocks also, wear down all his switching. So Chansey ends up having Wish as BKC takes an opportunity to get out in his Venusaur, more than likely expecting Madden Zone to come out. I think that Madden Zone was the most likely that way, because it's just literally its best opportunity to get in on Clefable right there, especially because you do see Stealth Rock and Moonblast. So Madden Zone actually vultures out as Kevin does expect that and goes for Sludge Bomb, probably not trying to give something like Kyurem a free switching, as Megaladios, excuse me, is going to come out and go for the Roost. So again, Clefable is going to come out, and we do see right here that Clefable actually has the Wish. So this is really interesting, because that means that the Venusaur isn't as pressured now whenever it comes in to go click Synthesis, and Venusaur checks Kartana. Like, he has quite a few Kartana checks. Venusaur, Celesteela, and even potentially the Greninja, which could be Specs, or even Scarf. Though I'm pretty sure it's Scarf Lando. No, I'm pretty sure it's Scarf Lando. But because it outsped Kyurem turn 1, and Kyurem should always be running max speed just because it needs to outspeed Lander, so it's pretty sure it's Scarf Lando. But we see Clefable come in one more time, as Chansey just opts to go for the Seismic Toss right now. This does give BKC the opportunity to go for a Wish if he wants to, or even a Moonblast. Actually opts to Moonblast, probably not trying to give something like Kartana free switching, but also what I mentioned earlier about the whole Zygarde thing, just weakening that Chansey, that little chip, that 10% plus the 12% from Stealth Rock is really important. So passes a Wish as he is able to bring a Landorus on the Flash Cannon, eats that thing up, and does threaten him with the Earthquake right here. Z0MOG does opt to go right out into his own Landorus right here, as Kevin does go for the U-turn. Smart play. I mean, he had switching to Magnet Zone anyway, as he is going to be able to bring his Celesteela. And right now, that Magnet Zone was definitely not Specs, because that did absolutely nothing to Landorus. So probably Scarf, more than likely double Scarf with Kartana, or it could be Z, of course, but I'm pretty sure it's double Scarf now, just looking at it. Then I'm not even sure, because this Landorus, I haven't seen anything about it either, honestly. That 8% did a lot, so I'm not 100% sure. Kartana could also be banned, or just SD, 3 attacks. But Celestia comes out, and because that Magnet Zone is actually not Specs, what he can do is just throw off a Leech Seed, and that will allow him with Leech Seed plus Protect to actually beat Magnezone 1v1 and always get off a Leech Seed on something coming in. So Leech Seed's a chance he is going to be able to bring out his Zygarde right now. This is a pretty cool opportunity because with Leech Seed, it actually out damages the Chansey, but really smart double on Z0MOG's part, bringing out Kartana right there. Though it does keep Chansey like decently low because of Leech Seed recovery and whatnot, not super low, but decently low. It means it does pressure Kevin's out, so Zygarde does not get to throw off 1,000 arrows, so that's really smart on Z0MOG's part. Throws off a Smart Strike, doesn't do that much to Venusaur at all. I'm not really familiar on the damage of that, but that does not do that much. I'm thinking that boy brought a lot of Scarfers, but brings out Latios as the Venusaur brought senses and pulls a nice double out into Magnezone, expecting Clefable to come out. So really nice, just throwing off some flash cannons, doing absolutely nothing though to Venusaur at all. But just all was set up pretty much for turn 21. Him being able to bring out Kyurem and nabbing a KO right now, because again, this is more likely Z Kyurem, and this honestly just nabs a KO. So all those doubles and just the flash cannon on the Venusaur to make him go for Synthesis, all for Z0MOG to bring in his Kyurem. So really smart play on his part, and this allows him to go for a Z move right here and pretty much pick up a KO no matter what. Greninja would have dropped to that, so really nice play on his part. Greninja's going to come out. It is Specs Greninja. It is going to go for the Dark Pulse as Chansey is going to come out. Now, he actually opts to go Zygarde right here, which is really, really cool because we find out right now that this Zygarde is actually a Dragon Dance set. And because we do see Soft Boiled, Wish, Stealth Rock, Seismic Toss, we know that this Chansey does not have Toxic, which means Zygarde can just safely set up a Dragon Dance. And it's a really cool set, as you guys will see. But you probably guessed it, it's Weakness Policy right here. So Lanners does go for the HP Ice, as it is confirmed Scarf Lanners because he is faster than him. And the Zygarde is at +3 attack. So at this point, Z0MOG has to pretty much sack something, go Lanners to get off another Intimidate, which will be outsped. And will go down to the +2,000 arrows. And all he has to do right now is hope that he gets a lucky roll or Kartana. I believe the minimum damage that +2,000 arrows does is 83%. Kartana is at 88%, so he needs a pretty lucky roll. I think it does 97% max, so a pretty decently lucky roll, or at least a little bit below average or around average roll right here. But Z0MOG ends up not getting it, and Kevin is able to pick up the first win because at this point, Chansey can't do anything besides click. Chansey can't do anything besides click the Seismic Toss, which Zygarde is obviously out of range of, and this Zygarde is just able to click 1,000 arrows and just pick off the rest of Z0MOG's team. So BKC redeeming himself and getting himself a nice victory right here from his game versus Dice. So really, really nice. I don't think Z0MOG played it poorly at all. Don't get me wrong. I think he played it as well as what he needed to. This Zygarde set, I don't think he could have done much versus it. Even if he clicked like Seismic Toss versus maybe like having Chansey at full and just repeatedly clicking Seismic Toss, but even then, I think he was thinking it would be Z. Obviously, if he knew the set, he probably could have just stayed in with Chansey and repeatedly clicked Seismic Toss because it wasn't doing too much damage to him and he would have Lenners in the back. But at the point, I think the only thing he could have done was pretty much just hope for that roll. I don't think he did anything wrong, like personally. So still well played to both sides, and just Kevin's nice Weakness Policy Zygarde set able to come through. So really cool. So next up we have TDK versus Christo. TDK is on BKC's team. Christo is on Blunder's team. Blunder was in Cancun, by the way, which is why he more than likely wasn't playing SPL Tie Breaker right here. So really, really similar teams. We both see Slowbros. This is not Mega Slowbro, even though Mega Slowbro is allowed in the tier. It's not Mega Slowbro because they did not allow it in SPL. Mega Slowbro, if you guys didn't know, was actually voted to not be banned, so it is allowed in UU from now on. But Gliscor, if it's SD, even then, Slowbro can out-damage it potentially, especially if it's like Water MZ or something like that. It could be Water MZ, Combine Slowbro. I can see that. Something out-damage the Gliscor. Mega Arrow, maybe Choice Band Scizor. Being able to check Crocodile, or Scarf Crocodile being able to check Pokemon, like, honestly nothing on his team. Not even like Sugarberry, not even Cobalion from full. So I think Crocodile is pretty much useless on this. I mean, it gets some knockoff items, which is pretty cool, but besides that, it doesn't really do much versus his squad. Boy has Hydreigon. His entire team does not go down to Crocodile, so I think that's pretty useless. Aerodactyl is pretty cool depending on the set, but of course, both of them having Slowbros mean Mega Arrow is not going to do anything unless it's like Home Claws and Stone Edge crits twice while avoiding Skull Burns from a Slowbro. And at the same time, Mega Arrow has to be at full HP to avoid, you know, a death from Slowbro. Scizor does check this and that. Double Amoonguss, which means there's probably not going to be any sleep, at least on TDK's part, because he has not only Amoonguss to absorb the sleep, but also Gliscor to get the Toxic or buff. Hydreigon more than likely Scarf, giving him some speed control. Pretty cool because it does outspeed Crocodile, Arrow, and things like that, and threatens Slowbro with Dark Pulse. And then Cobalion, which offensively shouldn't really be doing too much because he does have Slowbro, but let's get right into it. So we see Empoleon versus Amoonguss lead. This is great because while Christo does take it as an opportunity to get up his rocks early, Christo takes an opportunity to get up his rocks early, it gives TDK a free Spore and it gives him his Gliscor. Now this is really interesting because Empoleon ends up switching out. Now if Empoleon had Ice Beam, I honestly would have risked this sleep turn right here because Gliscor does not knock you out anyway, but I understand him wanting to keep Empoleon healthy because it eats hits from Hydreigon for days. So I get it, and at the same time, but like if he woke up right there, that'd be fire. Like especially if it was like Shucker Berry and Empoleon, he would take about 30% from this Gliscor and knock it out with Ice Beam. But brings in the Zero on the Earthquake. Really smart. Arrow does threaten out Gliscor with the Ice Fang. Crystal does know this, so he goes for Pursuit just to get a little bit of chip damage on that Gliscor. Really smart as well. Putting it in range of Ice Fang later, putting it in range of potentially, you know, an offensive Skull from Empoleon, which I kind of doubt it is. And TDK pulls a really nice double. Go with Slowbro, knows that Crystal's best switching is more than likely Empoleon because one, it can burn some sleep turns. If it has Toxic, it can Toxic Slowbro. So really nice double on his part. And this does give him the opportunity to get up rocks, punishing that Aerodactyl upon switching. So goes directly out to Hydreigon on the Slowbro. Now we don't know if this Slowbro or this Hydreigon is Specs or not. If it's Specs, it's doing some damage, but we find out right here that it is indeed Scarf because it does absolutely nothing to Amoonguss. Absolutely nothing, but he can bring in Gliscor. This gives him either the opportunity to Roost or even SD if he has it. Toxic are also opportunities. We haven't seen what Gliscor actually has to hit Aerodactyl just yet, so Amoonguss goes for the Giga Drain on the Roost, knowing that Gliscor does lose obviously that flying type, so it's going to do a little bit more, but still doesn't do too much. And we do reveal the knockoff on Gliscor, so we know 3 of its moves: Earthquake, knockoff, and Roost. Last move could either be SD. Taunt is an option as well. Toxic is also an option, but I don't know if it's Toxic necessarily. It might just be SD knockoff. But Aerodactyl is going to come out once again. TDK has no reason to risk his Gliscor, and Christo is just going for the chip damage with Pursuit. That's actually pretty important. If it is Bandit Scizor, that means that Gliscor actually can't come in on it, because with Stealth Rock plus that damage he got earlier with the Pursuit, it means that Bullet Punch, Bandit Bullet Punch can't get Gliscor. But that's not to say he doesn't have any switch into the Scizor. He has Slowbro, Bullet Punches, Amoonguss, and even Cobalion. So really nice play, bringing in the doubling out to Aerodactyl, allowing him to get that Mega Evolution off and catching Empoleon upon switching. I understand him wanting to not let it get weakened because, again, Hydreigon is a problem, and even something like Slowbro can be an issue depending on the set. We're assuming at this point they're both Calm Mind Slowbros. So Pursuit gets off some nice chip on him as he is going to bring out Crocodile. Now, this is interesting too because Scarf Crocodile, only thing he can knock out Arrow with is the Stone Edge. So Christo expects him to fear the Stone Edge, and TDK stays in not wanting to get pursued, I'm pretty sure. So we got that 50-50 right, and then we see a Pursuit on turn 16. We see another Pursuit on turn 17. TDK expecting the Crocodile to want to switch because he could Roost right here. And then, this is some fire series of plays because this Scizor is actually going to end up going Pursuit as Aerodactyl switches out. So we see 3 Pursuits in a row. Obviously, the freeze is pretty big on Christo's part. Though Crocodile would not have been doing too much anyway, just because it went for Pursuit right there, and if Aerodactyl had a Roost, he would have went for it, but we don't know necessarily. But Dark Pulse is going to be able to knock out Crocodile. Dark Resist is gone. Scizor is going to come out. TDK decides to go out into his Amoonguss, knowing that Scizor is more than likely Choice Band. Gets off a nice bit of Rocky Helmet chip on the Scizor, which is actually really important as well for Dark Pulse for my Dragon because now Scizor is in range. Doubles out to Scizor as TDK just opts to go for the Giga Drain. That's really smart too because Amoonguss is potentially in range of U-turn, and but at the same time, Scizor's obviously being worn down, so he doesn't want to stand, goes up to Cobalion, and Christo just goes right for the safety U-turn as he's able to bring out Slowbro. And again, this Slowbro is definitely a threat, but with the way Christo's playing is really smart. He's trying to get the burn off on Hydreigon. That way he has very, very limited switch-ins. He actually ends up getting it right here. So Hydreigon can only switch in pretty much one more time on Slowbro. So Christo ends up switching out into the Amoonguss as TDK ends up dropping a Draco right now. His strongest attack. Actually not sure why he didn't Dark Pulse right there, but I think he just wanted to keep Amoonguss low as Christo ends up doubling out into Aerodactyl. So TDK actually made the play out into Cobalion. I'm not entirely sure if he actually expected a double, but that makes sense too because Aerodactyl was a fine double since Gliscor was relatively free, and Gliscor could get a Roost off on Amoonguss, and pretty much all that damage that Aerodactyl got off, it didn't matter. So Cobalion was a good mid-ground right there, also expecting Amoonguss not to go for Spore. So really nice, which does give Cobalion the potential Iron Head, but TDK pulls a double out into Amoonguss, expecting more than likely Slowbro to want to come out. So that's really cool because it does give him his regen, and he's pretty much going to be back at full after he switches out. So Christo ends up going out into his Among Us and pivots out into Empoleon right there, as Empoleon just is going to wake up and finally throw off a Skull, get that burn on Among Us. What I think that Christo is trying to set up for is obviously the Slowbro Calm Mind Ward. I think that's what TDK is also going for right here. So Among Us comes in, as a Cobalion is going to come out right there. More than likely they're expecting a defog, or anything along those lines. That way you can at least pressure him with the close combat, but more than likely also get up rocks if he did opt to defog as well. So goes up to Gliscor. Christo makes a nice double out into the Slowbro because it always came in on Cobalion anyway, and doubles out to Aerodactyl right here, expecting, honestly expecting TDK to more than likely switch out to Among Us, or I'm not even entirely sure because like he didn't really switch in too well on the Slowbro anyway, because Among Us dies to more than likely Skull plus Psyshock. So I think he just wanted Aerodactyl in on the Roost and also scouting for Toxis. I think that was more likely the thought process there. So once again, Aero goes for Pursuit, catching the Gliscor upon switching. TDK knows he has no big reason to risk his Gliscor right there, especially because it does take Bullet Punch from from Scizor. It does take hits from Among Us, and TDK pulls a nice double right back out on the Gliscor, expecting the Empoleon to come out, not only getting a few turns of recovery, but also meaning he can go for Earthquake right here as he does throw one off. So once again, Aerodactyl is going to come in, and once again, we are going to see a Pursuits. A lot of Pursuits in this game, but Slowbro comes right back in, and that's Aerodactyl's last turn unless he is able to defog. So Empoleon comes out on the Scald, and what TDK ends up doing right here is actually just going right onto Cobalion, because the only reason we save Arrow right there is if you're actually going to defog, and Cobalion covers that. It will take a Scald as well and be able to take the hit. So Torrent boosted Scald does not KO Cobalion, and doesn't burn either, so he can go right for close combat right here, pretty much pick up a KO, as Christo is going to go out into his Among Us, and this Cobalion actually is packing Steelium Z, so while it does fail to KO the Among Us right there, it does mean that Gliscor can come in and just pick off the Among Us. And I think the reason that Christo did this was, or the reason that Christo sacked Among Us as opposed to going directly into Slowbro, is because he wanted to force the Gliscor to Roost, and that way it could give him a +1. So he basically wanted a +1 on top of everything, and that just means that Hydreigon can't knock him out with Dark Pulse or do crap. But TDK goes for knockoff right here, getting rid of his leftovers, and this means that Among Us can come out. If Among Us, this is a speed tie, so if Among Us is actually faster, it might not be a speed tie. Sora's probably running a little bit of speed, but if Among Us is faster, you can get off a Spore or even a Clear Smog. But it turns out the Slowbro does outspeed him, able to knock him out with Psyshock, but that means he can get into Slowbro for free, and it turns out that TDK's Slowbro is actually faster than Christo's Slowbro. So the interesting thing is, because Christo doesn't have leftovers anymore because TDK knocked it off, if he gets a Scald burn, that'll be wearing him down, whereas TDK's, even if it gets burnt, it doesn't matter because leftovers is canceling out that burn. But the also interesting thing is, since they're both max defense Slowbro, +6 Slowbro Psyshock does crap, man. It does nothing. That isn't even a 3-hit KO, man. Even with a crit, you need 2 more after that. A crit is what makes it a 3-hit KO. So TDK actually does risk the crit right here, just up at +6, and it turns out this actually is a speed tie between the two, but no crit right there. And at this point, I think Christo was honestly playing it a little bit off. So I don't know. I honestly think what Christo should have been doing was what TDK was doing for. TDK not only is fishing for burn, but at the same time, a Scald crit is the only one that's going to knock out Slowbro. A Psyshock crit isn't. So what TDK is doing is he's fishing for Scald crits, whereas Christo is just fishing for Psyshock crits. And basically, it's a battle of whoever gets the crit wins. Because at this point, if Christo loses Slowbro, he has no way of beating Gliscor plus Hydreigon, because basically you bring in Hydreigon once. You literally bring in Hydreigon once on whatever play your opponent makes. So you bring in Hydreigon, right? Let's just talk about this. Let's say TDK gets a crit, right? TDK gets a crit on Slowbro. Slowbro goes down. That means Empoleon literally has to come out and defog just so he has Aerodactyl alive. And either way, that means that Hydreigon, which takes Stealth Rock plus 2 burn turns, 2 turns of burn, that means he just gets the KO. But like I said, they're both fishing for the crits, and TDK ends up getting it. I think he was doing it a little bit better because he obviously went for Scald, and the Scald crit was the only one that could actually punish Slowbro, whereas obviously Psyshock crit would hurt too, but it wouldn't be able to knock out Slowbro at all. Although if he won the speed tie after, he could 2-hit KO at that range, but ends up getting the Scald crit right there. TDK just knows all he has to do is sack his Slowbro right here to the Scizor. As Aerodactyl is going to come out, and like I said, with rocks being gone, Hydreigon can come out, go for Dark Pulse. He can't switch out to Scizor anymore. It cannot take a hit. So Aerodactyl is going to go down. Scizor is going to go for the Bullet Punch right here. But all TDK has to do is go out to Gliscor, which is out of range of even a crit, Banded Bullet Punch, and knock out the Scizor with knockoff into Earthquake. So that's really smart because that takes the opportunity of potentially 2 crits right there. So that basically, if Christo crit the first one, by going for knockoff, you get rid of the odds of the second one knocking you out, even with a crit. So really well played on TDK's part, and he's able to win 1-0 with his Gliscor right here. So guys, this means, well, one, this means Blunder's not getting a trophy from SPL. I know the meme, ha ha ha, whatever, right? But this does mean that TDK and BKC and the Dragons, no, not the Dragon Spire, the Raiders make it to finals, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's the Raiders versus the Wolfpack. So that'd be pretty cool. That'd definitely be pretty cool right here. So this is actually the final matchup for it right here. We have Raiders versus Wolfpack, ABR versus TDK, Trosco versus Gondra. This is going to be some good games. PokeaimMD Gamer, love his teams by the way, versus Pack, Soul Gazer versus Shake, Raju versus Zuku, Really versus Boy, okay, Updated Cano versus Ricardo, Solon versus BKC. These are going to be some great games. All these OGens are going to be some great games. Even Oras I consider really good games. And like, honestly, this is a really good final. Like, the teams are both really solid. So I'll definitely be doing my best to cover those. If I can't catch any of them live, I'll be doing replays of them as they come out. So thank you everybody for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed. I'll be leaving these replays down below again if you guys want to check them out without my commentary. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, friends.